Welcome to the program. Time for our coronavirus update. You get it every day at this time. We've gone over a lot of stuff today, but there are some really important things that we haven't hit yet, and we'll do them in our coronavirus update from Johns Hopkins. All of the stats and so much more coming up in a second. Also, it looks like Warren has dropped out of the presidential race. We'll give you the latest on that. The amazing polling that is coming out. I've never seen anything like this. But I feel like I say that every day. All of this and so much more begins in 1 minute.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
If you suffer through the agony of a bad shave, if you have, my son-in-law, he shaves and he gets ingrown hairs, and it's just really, really difficult for him to shave. I know I get razor burn real bad when I shave. If you're tired of that, no matter how many times you try to plow that razor over your skin, it is just a little bit of stubble that is left someplace, and you just give up and you just don't want to have any more razor burn. May I suggest Shave Secret? The truth is, you don't need expensive blades and creams and soaps or gels for a clean, close shave. All you need is Shave Secret. It will dramatically reduce the number of nicks and cuts and ingrown hairs that shaving rash will be gone. You add 3 to 5 drops to a wet palm, you massage it into your skin, and you're ready to shave. It works for both men and women, and it's widely available. And it comes online at Amazon, also at shavesecret.com, but you can get it at your favorite store as well, regionally at H-E-B and Wegmans Grocery. It's also available at Walmart, and you can find it online at Amazon or shavesecret.com. Use the promo code BECK on their website and get 10%. That's Amazon.com or shavesecret.com. Use the promo code BECK. Our coronavirus stats now from Johns Hopkins as of 5:30 in the morning Central Time. Total confirmed cases now are 96,286. That is up about 2,000 from yesterday at this time. With that being said, you're going to see this case number start to rise because America is going to start doing extensive tests. Just a week ago, there had only been about 400 people that had a coronavirus test. Now they're starting to enter into the thousands, so we will see that number go up. And the percentage of the death rate, that death rate is really important. You'll start to see that come down. Total confirmed deaths is up about 100 people globally. 86 countries have now confirmed cases. That is an addition of 5 new countries overnight. 7 more now have suspected cases. 17% of active cases are now considered serious. Now, that number is important. That number is dropping. Just at the beginning of last week, that number was 19% of all active cases were serious, meaning they required hospitalization or the 5% that require ICU. The United States now has 160 confirmed cases, now 11 deaths, 10 in Washington State and 1 in California. We're going to give you the details on what's happening in Washington State because it's a little crazy in Washington. The confirmed cases in the U.S. now include Washington State, Oregon, California, Arizona, Texas, Wisconsin, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, with an additional suspected case in Missouri and Colorado. California and Washington have the highest number of infections with 40 plus cases in each state. That makes sense. Those are huge Asian population centers and the closest to Asia. In Washington, King County is now asking all 2.2 million residents of King County, that's the Seattle area county, all 2.2 million residents to work from home if possible. County officials are asking employers to move from work to a home basis for all office and administrative workers if possible. The request also includes recommendations to avoid any large gatherings of more than 10 people, especially in confined indoor spaces. Officials in Seattle and King County also recommend that any person over the age of 60 or with underlying health issues stay home, avoid going to public places or having physical contact with others just as a precaution. The reason why they're doing this is the fatality rate for 60 plus is estimated at this point, but these numbers will come down to be about 5%. So the median age of those who are getting it is 60. The median age for those who are dying is 80. So it is really dependent on age. That's why so many are getting sick in nursing homes. All Washington residents are being asked not to lick envelopes if they are voting by mail in the state's March 10th primary. I don't think I've licked an envelope in a long time, and I'm glad we're past that. Stu's looking at me, giving me a weird look.
Yeah, because you do now, if you ever do send out an envelope, which even that I feel like is relatively rare at this point, they've got the little peel-off things, right? Right? Yeah. That's how that works. It's been a while.
Yeah. Hospital officials are asking any person coming into a hospital who suspects that maybe they have COVID-19 to call ahead and wear a surgical mask to prevent the spread. However, how are you getting a surgical mask? That's the problem. Surgical masks are in high demand, but this is really important for everyone to understand. If you think you have the COVID virus, it is really important to call ahead, because you don't want to walk into an emergency room where a bunch of people are that don't have it and then sit in the waiting room. Call ahead and they will make arrangements for you to come. King County has also bought a motel to house COVID-19 patients. Now, the Board of Supervisors purchased the 24-room Kent Motel to house patients who don't require ICU treatment. They say the old motel is ideal because it has hard surfaces which can be disinfected and independent heating and cooling units in each room. There's no shared ventilation, just in case COVID-19 is airborne, which we don't know yet. So they bought this old hotel. The problem is they didn't let the mayor or anybody else in the area know that that's what they were planning. The move is designed to ensure hospital beds are reserved for those requiring ICU and other life-saving medical procedures. We are going to see this more and more because our hospital staffs are going to be overworked. This could be a real nightmare. I would hope that there are those Florence Nightingale types that are thinking now that they want to volunteer their time. Because I think we're going to need volunteers in the future. Counties, the King County is also using 18 mobile homes originally planned for homeless shelters in a secondary location near the motel. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has also designated modular homeless shelters as potential COVID-19 quarantine facilities for the homeless or other patients. California has set up 18 FEMA-provided modular homeless shelters in January of 2020, which now could be used as quarantine centers. The WHO, the WHO, and the CDC are now saying, please stop comparing COVID-19 to the seasonal flu. Now, this is where it gets dicey. Because right now, you need to understand the most important thing we can do is contain this. We don't know what this will turn into. We think the death rate, we think we have a handle on that. We think the death rate
is going to be a lot lower.
Is going to start falling. And as it starts to fall, you will see that people will not panic so much. The reason why I think people are panicking is they don't know what this is. This is the unknown and the lack of known unknowns. Do you know what I mean?
The old Rumsfeld thing.
Right.
Okay,
we don't know what we don't know yet. And I think because this is so new, people are freaking out about it. So they're saying, don't say this is just like the flu, because then people won't take it seriously. And
which they should. The flu kills a lot of freaking people. Yeah. 600,000 people worldwide every year. It's a big deal. It's not something you should be able to just dismiss.
They're thinking this is 10 times deadlier and 2 times more contagious. They think that if it mutates, or if the numbers stay the way they are, which no one thinks except currently the press because of Donald Trump, that it could kill 20 times or 30 times more than the average flu.
Remember, we don't have treatments yet, too. It's another big part of this. The reason why the flu rate is so low at 0.1%, right, is not because if you left it completely untreated, it wouldn't be at 0.1%. It's at 0.1% because we've developed a really good defense against it. Half the population takes the vaccine every year. There are 4 approved medications to treat it. Right, these are all big things that help get that rate lower. We haven't done any of that stuff yet with COVID. That's why they're so scared of it, especially this year.
We don't even know if it's going to be a seasonal thing. If we go into, May and this is not dying out, that doesn't give us a break. Right now, we're hoping that this is a seasonal style flu that will hide itself again until fall. And when it hides itself, we'll have time to really stock up, really prepare, really get up on our feet. So we're trying to play catch up now because, and it's not that anyone is behind, it's just that this was an unknown. It is a brand new virus, the likes of which we've never seen before. They're saying that the concerns, the reason why they say don't say this is like the flu, is because people won't take the necessary precautions to prevent and slow the spread as much as possible. Their real concern here is that hospitals are going to be overwhelmed. My real concern is if you're in Oklahoma or Kansas or heck, even Idaho, any place where you have a regional hospital, and then you're looking at a very, very small hospital where we only have a couple of doctors. When that doctor gets sick, and they will if they are treating everybody in town, when that doctor gets sick, who's going to replace that doctor? How does that doctor get sleep so they don't get sick? So they're really concerned about just our resources being overrun. Right now, up in Washington State, the fire department, the ambulance, anybody who was called on that first death now is in quarantine. So now all of those firefighters and paramedics can't go out and help people. That's why they want you to call in advance. Hey, I think we need to get you to the hospital. Okay, call the ambulance. Tell them this is COVID-19. They may be asking that now, but in Seattle on that first death, they didn't ask that question. Nobody informed them. When they got there, it was too late. The other thing, the reason why this is being taken so seriously is not because of what it is today, but what it could continue to become if it mutates into something more dangerous. It is already split once from an original S strain to the L strain. And I said earlier today that the L strain is actually less deadly. That's not true. It's actually the reverse of that. The L strain is more deadly. So it's already beginning to mutate. I want to talk to you a little bit about what the banks are doing and what the IMF did yesterday, what Congress did, what the president did, because there's a couple of things that I think is really, really important that our government is doing, and and the banking sector, but there's also something that just bothers me a great deal, and I can't put my finger on it yet, and I want to share that in 1 minute. pound for pound, unless you are an international spy, driving is probably one of the most dangerous things you do for any extended period of time during your day. A lot of rides, literally, a lot of it just is on the ability and the trust that you have that your car is going to get you from place to place safely and efficiently. That's why when things go wrong, it kind of really, really sucks. CarShield has affordable protection plans right now that can save you thousands of dollars for a covered repair. And that includes the computer in your car, the GPS, all the electronics, and a lot more. Those computer chips are a fortune when you have to replace them. They have customizable monthly plans at CarShield with rates as low as $99 a month, and you can choose your favorite mechanic or dealership to do the work, and CarShield will take care of the rest. They also offer 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car while yours is being fixed for free. CarShield, they've helped over 1 million customers, and that's why they're America's #1 auto protection provider. Rates now as low as $99 a month. You have nothing to lose. Get covered by CarShield today. Call 800-CAR-6000. Mention the promo code Beck or visit carshield.com and use the promo code Beck and save 10%. carshield.com, promo code Beck. A deductible may apply. 10 seconds, station ID. All right, I want to go back to something that we talked about earlier today, and that is what's happening with the banking sector. The Dow is down how much? I know it opened about 700 points down today, and
down 540 currently.
Okay. So it was way up yesterday, way down the day before, way up before that. This is going to be an unstable ride. Anywhere from, give me 20% off the high, Stu. What
so
would that be?
About
it's 29, so is it 24?
Yeah, I mean it. About that.
Okay.
Obviously that's kind of the technical recession term, about 23.2.
Yeah. So I think that anything that we see around 20% doesn't really concern me. It is not good, but it's also, the world hasn't seen something like this. When it starts to go down, closer to 30%, when it starts to get down to, Dow 20,000, then we're talking about some real trouble. And I think we might hit those things because airlines are starting to have to take losses. The cruise industry is going to take huge losses. All of these things. They just moved the Bond movie because that movie, they think the theaters are going to be empty this spring, and they probably will be. So all of the industry that requires you to go out, all restaurants, everything else, they're going to take a real hard hit. Anything that you can get delivered to your house will be better. But we're gonna change the economy if this continues to go for a long time. We're going to change the economy into a very isolated style economy. Now, the IMF chief yesterday called for a, quote, all-outs, no-regrets response to the epidemic, which poses, quote, a serious threat to the global economy. At a time of uncertainty, quoting, it's better to do more than to do not enough. All right, this is good, but here's the problem. What is it that this is going to do right now, except use all of the bullets you have in your gun? That was the problem with the Fed. The Fed started to use all of the bullets in their gun, and there's not going to be anything left afterwards. We're already moving the Fed rate down. They're asking for more in Fed cuts and more for the central banks. At some point, nothing's going to have an effect anymore. It's like an overuse of antibiotics. The central bank cuts are like antibiotics to the economy. And after a while, they just don't work anymore. It's going to be interesting to see. Now, a way the Fed cut might be useful is for companies that need to keep their doors open, and if they can borrow money at almost 0% interest rates, they can keep their doors open and just hope to make it up later. But I'm concerned that the IMF and the Fed are just opening up the floodgates at this point. That just doesn't seem logical to me or the right move to me.
What do you think the percentage of 0 to 100? What percent of the panic that's going on now is just a result of the way these various governments are handling this? Like, and they may be doing it appropriately, but like they are signaling to us, hey, we're closing down all schools in the country of Italy. Like, these are situations you wouldn't.
So I think these are two competing things. I think they are. You have to do what I think the world is reacting to this in a very positive way,
an appropriate way.
Yes. And I think for medical issues, I think they're doing the right thing. I think by saying stay at home, work from home, blah, blah, blah. I think those are all really good things to do. However, if I'm the economist in the room and I'm only worried about that because that's my job,
right.
I'm like, okay, you're going to save this, but you're going to kill this. And what point, we might be saving in the short term, for instance, the overwhelm of the system, which it has to be done, an overwhelming of the medical system. But at the same time, while you're saving the medical system, you may be killing the economy, which drives the medical system. How do you buy anything when nobody has any money? So I think they're just walking this line that has not been walked ever before. I'm concerned that the Fed moves as quickly as the medical people are moving because the medical people have more bullets in their gun than the Fed
You're
does.
Listening to Glenn Beck.
American Financing, NMLS 182334, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Now, while these rates are so low, I want you to do the financially responsible thing. Right now, if you could save money on your mortgage, or if you can consolidate and save $1,000 a month, that'd be the smartest thing you could do right now. You really need to get prepared for what could be coming economically to your life, your world. You do it without panic. You do it, when nobody else is thinking about it, while everybody else is thinking about toilet paper. May I suggest you refi your loan? May I suggest you go back in and look at your mortgage and see if you can flip it and get a better mortgage rate. Right now, American Financing will do a mortgage review with you. They'll show you what you're eligible for. You may be able to save $1,000 a month or more just by going to American Financing at 800-906-2440, 800-906-2440. It's AmericanFinancing.net.
Before obsessing about the coronavirus was cool, Glenn did a special on it. You can watch it at blazetv.com/Glenn. Use GB20 for $20 off.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. It is Thursday, and what a week it's been. We've had Super Tuesday, changed the world. Looks like Elizabeth Warren has just dropped out. We saw the latest poll in Florida. This is with Elizabeth Warren and Michael Bloomberg still in the race. Those two are both gone. It shows Biden winning with, I think, 61% of the vote.
61% of the vote.
And Bernie came in 2 with
12. I will say, actually, Bernie came in third place behind Bloomberg. So Bloomberg now not in the race. Warren not in the race.
Like it.
I in my entire life watching politics, I have never seen a bigger turnaround in a campaign than this one. You've seen stuff like, there were issues like John McCain, for example, had to fire all of his advisors.
Yeah.
But that was like 2007.
Yeah.
And then he turned it around before people started voting. So this is after the voting started. It's incredible.
I want you to realize that this is the time I warned you about. I mean, I just met with my producers yesterday and said, hey, we need to go through everything because this is like Glenn Beck Predictions Central right now. Everything that is happening, so much of it we talked about 10 years ago. And the biggest one is there's going to come a day when you don't recognize the country, when everything you thought was solid will be liquid and everything liquid will be solid. You will not be able to predict it, and you will be overwhelmed by the events of the day. I want you to get used to saying this. I've never seen this before in my lifetime. It is going to get worse and worse, and every day you will say that. Both good and bad. Let me give you a good from yesterday. We didn't even have chance to talk about this. We did a podcast a few months ago with what's his name? Brown. He's a futurist, and he was talking about CRISPR and how medicine is going to change overnight. And I brought up that, socialized medicine is a thing of the past. And because of technology, you're not going to have to worry about all of the high cost of things or going to the doctor because they will be able to diagnose you from home. And you're going to want to have AI over a real doctor. So Jeff Brown said, well, it's like CRISPR right now with eyes. I said, what? He said, we're about a year away from announcing that we can cure blindness. Well, yesterday, that test was done on the first patient. And what they did is the doctor made a little teeny slit in the eye of one patient who has been blind, put 3 drops of, a CRISPR-made, I don't even know how this works, but it
if you knew how it worked, you would have invented it already.
I know. I don't even know how it works, but the CRISPR takes, and instead of taking genes and things out of a body and then trying to fix them, it just goes in. You just put a little bit of this liquid in, and it goes and seeks out the problem in your brain or in your body, and it fixes any of the cells or anything that are broken, and it kills the problem and fixes it. So they just put 3 drops of this stuff in the guy's eye, and they believe that in the next few weeks he will have sight, that we will have cured, in his case, one kind of blindness. Jeff Brown was saying we're probably going to cure blindness in the next year or two, almost all blindness. So I've never seen that before in my lifetime.
No.
There's a lot of good things that are happening.
And it will seem incredible that we ever let it happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like when everyone looks back at that story of the doctor who was like, hey, guys, how everyone's dying here, but they're not dying in that other hospital? They're washing their hands over there. We're not here. What do you think we wash our hands in between surgeries?
That's crazy.
And the cadavers and dealing with the cadavers.
Yeah.
What do you think? And they're like, oh, that's crazy. And we look back at that and just mock it, right? How in 10, 15 years, we're going to look back at the time where these things like blindness or the idea that even a global pandemic could occur may very well seem ridiculous to us. Kind of like how it, in a way, the Spanish flu does, right? From 1918, you're wiping out like huge percentages of the population. It doesn't seem possible now in some ways.
Well, can you imagine how much worse this would be if we didn't have the communication that we have now? We would have had ship after ship, plane after plane after plane come in, and we'd all be sick before we'd even realize it because we just didn't have the connections that we do today and be able to track things and figure out, wait a minute, why is everybody getting sick? And everybody's getting sick over in China first. It would have been, witchcraft almost compared to where we are today. But that's one of the things that I think you really have to understand is you're seeing things today that you've never seen before on this, and dare I say it, pandemic. We're not, by the way, my gut is they're not calling this a pandemic because that triggers all kinds of legal things. And nobody wants to make the call on, okay, well, pandemic means this legally, and so all the insurance companies and everybody else, you're screwed. So I think that's why this is not being called a pandemic, even though this has met every single mark for a global pandemic at this point. But you're going to see things that you don't understand, and you have to put them into context.
Yeah, contextually is, I think, where a lot of people's fear is coming from, right? Where you might say, okay, well, we've heard these things before, SARS and MERS, and we've heard all of these bird flu and swine flu, and, they're scary and everything, but, like, what are you going to do? You normally just kind of step back and say, you throw your hands up and you don't worry about it. What's interesting about this one, I think that's different than all of those, is the way governments, companies are reacting to it, right? Where first we saw this in China, where they're welding people inside of apartment buildings. But this is China. It's a communist country. They shut down a city of how many? 11 million people. That's really strange, but still okay. It's China. They do really crazy things. And they got a little bit of criticism from the SARS thing where they didn't, clamp down on it fast enough. So maybe they're overreacting. When you see a country like Italy say all of our schools are closed in the entire country, that is like that hits you at a totally different level. We're seeing now, is it King County in Seattle?
Yeah,
is basically telling everyone in the county.
Now this is the King County is the Seattle County.
The Seattle County.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't go anywhere. Stay inside.
2.2 million people that are being asked by King County. They're not requiring it.
Right, they're just asking.
They're asking all 2.2 million residents, don't leave your house.
Now,
don't go to work.
When is the last time you remember a request like that?
Well, I don't remember it being a request. The only time I can think of that I heard a city, and it wasn't a city that size in America, being told, do not leave your house, was the Boston shooters.
The Boston bombing, yeah.
Sarnovs.
Yeah, right. And why? Because we had active terrorists driving around the city, setting things on fire, letting off bombs, and shooting people. And I believe it was actually technically legally still a request. But everyone kind of listened because we really don't want to be outside with the terrorists. We want the cops to be able to find these guys, and they did.
So if you're comparing it to that, I can see why you panic. And that is normal to panic when it's like that, because you're like, uh-oh, there's something outside that can kill me, right?
Yeah, right. All
right, so that's not what they're actually doing. What they're actually doing is if everybody goes outside and everybody starts to get sick because they're passing it around, if you get sick, what are you going to do?
Go to the doctors.
Go to the doctor.
Go to the hospital.
The doctor right now, there's nothing the doctor can tell you. Your average doc can't tell you anything except, you know what? Stay at home. Stay at home. I don't think it's the coronavirus, but I can't test you for it because we don't have that. If it's really bad, you got to go to the hospital and they can test you for it. Okay. So if you are 60 plus and you're having real problems, or if you have, any kind of complications, you should go to the hospital, call in advance, and your doctor will do that. Well, now that you've gone to the doctor, if you do have coronavirus, you now have risked everyone in the waiting room who is there for another reason, plus the nurses, plus the doctor. And if we're all doing that with our doctors, the doctors are getting sick. The ambulance drivers are getting sick. The firemen, the police, all of the people that make all of our health system work are going to get sick. All right? You can't have them sick, and you can't overwhelm the system. And so for your long-term protection, they're saying there is something out here that will kill us. And that is all of our emergency people being overwhelmed and sick. So please stay at home. It's why they are why these cities are saying, you know what? Let's buy an old motel. Seattle just bought an old motel, 2 of them, I think, and said, we're going to put people in there that we think have the coronavirus. We're going to isolate them there. Why? So they're not in the hospital. Well, they should be in the hospital. No, if they need to be in ICU, yes. Unfortunately, if they go to the hospital, they can get somebody who just is on kidney dialysis sick.
Right, because they're also surrounded by everybody else who is in the most vulnerable position to this particular virus.
Remember, you have a good chance of dying if you have another complication. So if you're already in the hospital because of something that is not related to coronavirus, if that patient gets it, they're going to die. So what you're seeing here is the protection of the system. And I think that's really important. It is.
Yeah. So you're saying, in a way, it's almost like they are incentivized to heighten your worry a little bit, right? Because if they were to downplay it, right, that would be bad, because then people wouldn't care and they wouldn't take any precautions.
But I don't think that they're heightening it at all. I think they're telling you the truth. Nobody is saying, oh my gosh, there's a killer pandemic out there and we're all going to die. What they're saying is this: we need the masks. So they're telling you, on one hand, they're telling you, the masks don't work. Well, yes, they do. And how do I know? Because by the next sentence, we need the masks at the hospital. Okay, so if they don't work, why does the hospital need them?
That's a good point.
Okay, but what they're saying to you, they're using this language because they know a lot of dummies will say, well, I need that mask. I got to have that mask because I'm going to work and I've got to have that mask. I'm going to travel on a plane. They're telling you instead, don't travel on the plane. Don't go to work. Don't use the mask. You probably don't even know how to use it. And if you're walking around and you don't know how to use it, it's not going to help you anyway. But the people who are on the front lines because of you, dummy, hoarding the masks, those people have to have a mask because they have people like you will be, because you didn't know how to use the mask, coming in and going, Doc, I think I'm sick. They have to have a mask because you are going to go in and cough on their face. And then when they're gone, who replaces them? If 30% of our medical and emergency personnel are sick, do you know what that does to America? Do you know what that does to you and your family? This is why they're saying stay home. It's not a panic, we're all going to die. They're trying to protect the system so we don't all die because we were all stupid, not because of the coronavirus. If you don't know your numbers, you do not know your business. You've heard me say this quite a bit at this point, and it's absolutely true. Successful companies know that in order to grow faster, you have to have the right tools. And if you want to take your company from a $2 million to a $10 million company, or from a $10 million to a hundreds of million in revenue, NetSuite by Oracle gives you the tools to turbo your charge for growth. Now listen. This is something I met with the NetSuite people, and I begged for a dashboard for so long. Can I just see all of the things in one screen so we can make some decisions based on something other than, well, I don't know, it kind of feels kind of good. You can't run a big business this way, and a small business even. If you're going to try to take your company from a $2 million business to a $10 million business, you have to know your numbers. I want to take the business and really grow it. Great. I've already learned the lesson. You can't unless you have your hands around all of the data all the time. And that's where NetSuite by Oracle comes from. NetSuite is the #1 world cloud business system, trusted by more than 19,000 companies. Mine is one of them. Mine is actually 2 of them. It's the last system that you're ever going to need. It's NetSuite. Business grows here. NetSuite. Schedule your free product tour right now and receive your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Beck. netsuite.com/Beck.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Good golly. Welcome to the program. I'm glad you're here. Has it been a marathon? Doesn't it seem like it's a marathon in the last couple of weeks? I mean,
go back to all of the huge developments that have happened. I mean, the last 2 days, 2 presidential candidates have dropped out. You had one of the biggest, political
all of them
turnaround.
except for Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Tulsi.
Tulsi makes her move now. She's already climbed up the ladder to 3rd place. Right. She's in striking distance now.
Right.
And this is when she turns it on and takes them both by surprise. I don't think that's
true, but to be true. It is crazy. The poll, the latest poll from Florida. Mm-hmm. Just listen to this. Remember, a week and a half ago, Joe Biden was done. He was done.
Yeah.
Listen to this poll in Florida.
Joe Biden, 61. 2nd place, Michael Bloomberg, who dropped out on the day they took the poll.
Wait.
He's at 14%.
Uh-huh.
Then Bernie Sanders at 12 and Elizabeth Warren at 5.
So Bloomberg is out and Warren is out. And Sanders was at 12. This is
remarkable.
Totally remarkable. Again, not something I've seen in my lifetime. Get used to saying that because we are in a whole new world. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same stations. Unless aliens kidnap me tonight.
You're listening to Glenn Beck.